and set us free. Riders on the prairie, wild and free, bows and arrows, cold 45's decree. No more tyranny, no more lies, under open skies we rise. Fight, fight, fight till we reclaim the night. Cowboys and Indians in the blazing light. Fight, fight, fight till the dawn is near. We'll never live in fear. On the blood moon, we all unite. Horse hooves thunder in the night. No longer slaves to the empire's might. Strength in numbers, strength in rise. On the blood moon, we unite. Horse hooves thunder in the night.
Welcome, my fellow tribe of patriots, to another episode of the Cowboys and Indians podcast, episode 80. I'm your host, Native Patriot. Of course, today with me is my co-host, Steve, and a special guest.
Yeah.
She does have a soul, believe it or not, but she is the red-headed Libertarian. How are you doing today, Josie?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm great. Maurice, did you really crack a ginger joke within the first sentence of the intro? Oh, my.
I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. You have beautiful hair, by the way, Josie. So
thanks so much.
I'm not trying to insult at all. It's just
You could have brought up things like she's a pie connoisseur, she's a constitutional scholar, some nice things like that, Maurice. I made it proud for you. It's okay.
Hey, I do really admire the work that you do as far as portraying the Constitution in a relatively easy way for people to digest and actually soak in, because school did a terrible job at explaining our rights and where they came from, what inspired the Founding Fathers, and the Federalist Papers, and all of these various very important parts of our history that have just been kind of pushed to the wayside. And it seems that people today don't really understand the importance of just, how that affected the world and how it was so unique throughout human history. So really quick, Josie, would you just mind telling everybody who you are and what you do? Although I know you got a bigger following than us, but just in case.
My name is Josie. I'm the redheaded Libertarian on X. I do outside media work for Timcast. I'm a constitutional revolutionary historian, and I'm award-winning pie baker.
Oh, man. I remember that controversy that came out. Was it about a year ago?
Oh, there were several controversies that came out of it. The first controversy they actually called Piegate was when I made pies, and so people decided they decided to spread rumors that my pies were like store-bought. And so that was the first controversy. I know. And it's like, I do videos showing you how I make them as I make them. What? But there's just haters. Haters are going to be haters. And the second was Calendar Gate. Yeah, I'm part of all these gates. Just call me Josie.
Right.
And the second was Calendar Gate, because what Seth Weathers had done, he'd taken a bunch of women who are in the conservative libertarian sphere, and he highlighted their talents. So Riley Gaines was in a swimsuit because she's a swimmer. I know.
Sounds demonic.
I know,
swimming
right?
in water. Yikes.
So he had a fitness model who was working out. He had Dana Loesch, who was shooting guns. He had me, who was baking a pie. He had Ashley St. Clair, who was a comedian. She was mocking Dylan Mulvaney, So it was, we all knew, and normal people knew, but it made a lot of people mad. They were really mad that I was baking a pie. I got 8 weeks of straight hate for that, for baking a pie in a calendar in my kitchen. Yeah.
I think the funniest part of that controversy was actually Bryson Gray. Because I've had him on the podcast before. I've talked to him a bunch of times, but he was just like, "This is demonic." It's he started going. I was like, "Dude, chill, like relax, man. My gosh, she's in a dress. There's nothing demonic about it. My goodness."
I found out that his wife isn't allowed to wear swimsuits to the beach, so he has a very, very conservative way of viewing women in general. But yeah, he wrote a song like Taylor Swift
Oh no.
about me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even
That's
know that.
gold.
It's called Demonic.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll
released
actually
it
have
right
to go
at
back and
the
listen to it.
Released it.
Yeah,
after
I listen to his music, so I'm gonna have to re-listen to it with this in mind now. So it's gonna make more sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never listened to it, but you know everybody else did. So
Mm.
have at it, boys.
Should have played
So
that for the
maybe-
intro.
Maybe okay. So I'm originally from South Louisiana, and
Mhm.
like our education system is really terrible, right?
Mm.
And I think I went to a civics class. I can't even remember. I graduated so long ago, but understanding the Constitution takes a lot of learning, a lot of reading, and interpretation. Guide us through how you became so versed in the Constitution and everything that involves it with it.
Well, like you guys, when I went to civics class, I learned that there are 3 branches of government and slavery, and that's it. That's what you learn. So, so I love history. I love studying it. I love that stuff. So I'm actually an autodidact. I've self-taught myself everything. So hi Hope, I like you too. So so self-learned. And what I do, I actually go to source documents. So I'll use the exact Constitution and the exact Declaration of Independence, which are both hanging up behind me.
Based.
To do my research, I'll go to the Federalist Papers because the Federalist Papers were used to sell the Constitution to Massachusetts and New York. When I do the Boston Tea Party, I go to source documents for that too, because what were we taught about the Boston Tea Party, right? 2% tax on tea and we rioted?
Mhm.
No homies.
Well, that's
That
what we're taught.
was fascism. So what was happening is King George was in bed with the largest multinational conglomerate in the world, the East India Company, and all of Parliament had essentially invested in them. And they were given this deal that said, you're not going to have to pay any taxes and we're going to reimburse you for any lost product that you have. The colonists are going to take care of all that. That's what we rioted over. So we're taught to be mad about a little bit of tax, and that makes us feel righteous, but then we're not taught to be mad about fascism, and like real fascism, not like Antifa communist fascism. Like that's all fake. We're not taught to be mad about the real stuff, which is the unholy alliance between corporation and state. So I go directly to source documents for that, and I learned that from a source document. It's I actually have it right here in retrospect of the Boston Tea Party. And this is the only firsthand account we have in history of the Boston Tea Party by somebody who was there. So other than that, we don't really know, because what they did, they took an oath to each other saying that they're each going to tell their own story. They're going to wait 50 years. Nobody's going to say a word about it. And many of these people took it to their grave. A lot of people didn't know the value of it when it was happening. It was just this little, like, we just have to take a stand. It was just this thing. And who did know about it? John Adams, and he wrote about it in his diary that this was going to be a powder keg for something enormous. So that's what I did. I went to source documents. I read a lot of old newspapers. I get everything I can from the source, because history is a series of stories that can be rewritten. And you learn a lot of that when you go to the source and read the newspapers and see how they corroborate each other.
Mhm.
That you've been lied to a lot. So
Correct. And so I guess we understand how historical documents are so important to understand how our country was founded and how it is today. Where do you see this going with AI? Do you see AI creating some sort of revisionist history on our actual history? Do you see AI being utilized as a tool to not remind the people that we're actually insurrectionists?
AI is kind of already misrepresenting history. I've had to correct Grok quite a few times because they take everything and then they take the average of everything. So I'm sure that somebody could create a robot that's going to revision everything that we know, and that would be like a separate system. Most AI takes everything and puts it all in a pot and pulls out what it wants you to know, or what the popular vote is, essentially. So it could be used someday. Somebody could create an AI specifically for that. But right now, we're just getting history lessons repeated back to us.
I started using Grok to pull up Bible verses, and I realized that it doesn't, most of the time, like if you ask for the direct verse, it will pull it up, but there's also the interpretation that comes from it. And so I've kind of realized that I can't rely on that anymore. Not because it changes things drastically, but it almost gives an opinion from like the wrong perspective. And so I would rather just read the direct source material than get what AI thinks about that verse. You know, the conglomeration of I mean, it's good to read different opinions, but I just don't know where that source is coming from. How Grok or ChatGPT is telling me about this verse. So I actually just started just going back to and actually the physical Bible and pulling it out and then actually reading that as opposed to just using AI. It is so much more convenient, but there's just something in it that worries me.
What's great about going to source documents for Bible verses is we have the greatest source document for Bible verses, and that's the Bible itself.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. It's actually true.
Yeah.
I do like how you mentioned a second ago that you believe Antifa are essentially LARPers.
Yeah. They just want to be violent.
So speaking of Antifa, there is President Trump is trying to designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, and this is impossible, correct?
Yeah, this is ceremonial. Essentially, it's got to go through the branches of government. He can do what he wants, but there's so if somebody's a terrorist, we can take different routes to punish the terrorist, like blow up their speedboat.
Intelligence collection too, correct?
What was that?
Intelligence collection. It'd be a little bit more strict, or
yep, let's put it out
they'd have
there.
more leniency.
Patriot Act, yes.
Yeah. What's hard is they've said for years, oh, Antifa is just a feeling. It's just something. But no, what they do, they're in different cities. So they're like Rose City Antifa. Like they're actually establishments, So we've been gaslit about saying, like even Joe Biden, when he was debating Donald Trump, was like, oh, Antifa's an idea. It's like, no, it's not. It's a terrorist organization. These are terrorists. You can't really do much with that. Like physically do much with that. It's gotta go through Congress.
The thing that I believe will happen is that once he starts this process, the paranoia of fascism that these people have is going to spark more radicalism. And I'm not saying that that's it's definitely not a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, because these people are going to start exposing themselves through their radicalism, and it's almost something that is necessary to take place, because we've allowed them to rule the streets for far too long. I mean, taking over 6 blocks of Seattle, Washington, and the governor was literally unaware of it days after it had already happened. I mean, Jay Inslee was the governor of Washington State at the time, and he came out and he's like, I haven't heard any credible sources saying that they've taken over any space in Seattle. So he just kind of brushed it off.
Yes. A woman, was it the mayor that made the Seattle of Love comment? Yeah. This is just the summer of love. They tried to make it out like these are just a bunch of hippies who no.
Were growing.
No, it wasn't. It was not.
There were crimes and rapes and murders.
Multiple rapes, yes, multiple rapes and multiple murders that I would almost constitute as executions happened there. I mean, there were 2 black kids, like ages 14 and 17, that stole a Suburban or a vehicle and drove into Chaz for safety. Well, the security guards there thought that it was a white supremacist attack, so they unloaded 300 rounds into the vehicle for over 10 minutes. They just dumped all of their magazines into this vehicle and murdered these 2 kids. And it never really made the news. Nobody really cared because it wasn't said Like they were trying their best to portray it as just a hippie radical movement, and it never was. It was always I mean, the first thing that they did was they created borders and they had strict security, and it's like everything that you guys preach, you're doing right now. You're actually forcing the people in these 6 blocks to be, you're basically the mafia. You're the bad guys here. You're not the good guys. And it's been that way ever since. I mean, they roam the streets of Portland. They've had multiple attacks all around. I mean, Andy, no, there's a couple of Seattle journalists that have been. I mean, Brandy Cruz was attacked recently, physically by Antifa, and I'm so tired of just pretending that it's like this non-existent just idea that you're fighting the system, when in all reality they've been the little foot soldiers for the globalists and for people like George Soros, who've been funding these anti-American groups and radicalization groups all around the country for years.
Yeah. Go ahead, Josie.
I was going to say I agree with all of that. Something does need to be done about Antifa, because we're being gaslit about who they are, what they're capable of, what they've done, what they've been responsible for. And this guy who murdered Charlie, he's adjacent to them in some way. I don't know. Everything's all coming out at weird rates, but it seems to be adjacent to them in some way, whether he was just in a Discord that was related to them or whether it went deeper than that. I don't know. But we see that they're capable of very evil things, and they terrorize Americans, and they're domestic terrorists, and they just need to be ID'd as that, so that way they can be broken up and shut down.
Is the legal route to designation would be congressional bill? Would that be correct?
I think so.
Okay. I do recall
We have the House and Senate.
Yeah.
Why isn't this through today?
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a 13,000-page bill just to designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization.
And they're going to have to pin a bunch of stuff to it, so it'll be voted against, because they're going to be like, okay, and at the same time, we're going to something horrific that people have to vote against. They'll be like, oh, look, this person voted against it. Also, now we know that they have, I don't know, have you been following any of the Corey Mills stuff?
But the censorship of Ilhan Omar, or the lack of?
Yes. So he voted against. He was one of the 4 to vote against it. And essentially what it looks like he was afraid of was retaliation from the Dems to be censured himself, because he's got sextortion with some woman. Yeah. So he didn't vote. It looks like, in my opinion, he didn't vote for what his constituents wanted. He's Florida. We wanted her censured in Florida. I'm from Florida. I speak for Florida. Hi. But he didn't.
So
he looks like
was he a no or a non-vote?
What was that?
Was he a no or a non-vote?
He was against it. Or I don't know if it was a yay or nay to vote against, but there were 4 that voted against.
Okay.
And he voted, sometimes the bill reads weird, and to vote against it, you have to yay. Sometimes I don't know exactly if it was a yay or nay, but he was one of the 4 to vote against it, and it looks like it was to protect himself from being censored. It's like, so he didn't vote for his constituents; he voted for himself.
Wow. I mean, I have an opportunity to go talk with him tomorrow, because he will be here in Texas at the Youth Leaders Summit.
Well, what he's going to tell you is, well, I did it because I believe strongly in free speech. But if you read what he did, he voted either to table it or to close down comments or something. He voted against the free speech surrounding the bill. So it's not about free speech. It was about something else.
Wow.
Yep. Scumbag.
Well, I will say that the Trump administration, particularly Pam Bondi, has been awful at portraying what the Trump administration wants, like the direction that they want to go. And she comes out and she uses the language of we're going to come after you if you use hate speech. And everybody was like, look, no, that's not what we're saying at all. That's what nobody on the conservative side was talking about, hate speech, until you brought it up. It's just, I mean, the way that they've handled some of these situations is kind of disappointing, but I think it shows that they're they're real people making mistakes as opposed to puppets doing what they're told. At least that's what I kind of see from the outside, and I'm hoping that's the case. And I'm hoping I'm not wrong, but it sure seems like they're actually they'd rather go out there and make a mistake than just tell the narrative that they're told to tell. If that makes any sense.
Yes, they are human, and I see that with Cash, and I see that with Dan in particular, and I know Dan, and so I've met Cash. They're human. With Pam, she's very good on video, so she's very good in front of the cameras. So at the beginning of the administration, she was always on the camera, especially when they were talking about Epstein. Always on camera. Oh, it's coming. I got him on my desk. Always on the camera. And South Park made fun of her, for that, for having to do the photo ops and that sort of thing. Always had to be on camera. How many times was Merrick Garland on camera? Or Andy Barr? How many times did we ever see them? They just didn't, but she was always doing that. And then it kind of took a step back from doing that once the Epstein stuff blew up in her face and she was getting challenged on that sort of thing. So she's trying to kind of get back in front of the camera. But with this whole hate speech thing, it's like, no, hate speech is free speech. It's been ruled 2 or 3 times with the Supreme Court that hate speech is free speech. It doesn't exist. The issue that we're dealing with is not hate speech. The issue we're dealing with is whether you can disassociate from an employee who's a dirtbag. And yeah, you can. It's not about whether the speech is illegal unless it's obscenity or an incitement. Incitement is when they call for action, but that's very specific. That has to meet the Brandenburg test. So there has to be a time and a place for that. You have to say, oh, we're going to fight Sunday at 4:00, and that's incitement. If I'm I want to fight you, that's not incitement. So there's very specific rules that it has to meet. And I don't know if there's been
essentially you have to have a plan behind it in order for it to be an incitement of violence case.
Exactly right. So, for instance, with these protesters on campuses that are getting their visas revoked and that sort of thing, and they're using incitement, saying that they violated free speech due to incitement because they pass out pamphlets saying we're getting together at this time at this place, and they're able to say this is incitement because of that. So they're able to target people that offend the administration or say mean things. I don't know. They're able to do it in that regard because they're able to call it incitement.
But they're not American citizens, so no, I don't really like.
So the difference is, if I were to incite or you were to incite and do the same thing, if you or I were to do the same exact thing, we could get fined. We could go to jail for a little bit. There's a totally different set of standards. You don't have those American consequences when you're not an American citizen. They can just kick you out of the country. That's okay. Yeah, because you're not an American citizen. There's a totally different standard. It's
Absolutely.
A privilege to be here.
And it should remain that way.
Yeah.
I see you have something pulling up, Maurice.
Yes, I'm actually pulling up multiple.
Okay. So let me just ask you, do you think there's actually an Epstein list? Do you think there's some sort of conspiracy to cover it up?
We know that there's an Epstein list.
I don't mean to put you really on the spot on this, but
whether there is, I think that they're being very deliberate and specific. There is no list, right? But we know that there are people who were involved with Epstein. They threw Bill, what's his name? The guy in the wheelchair.
Oh, Stephen Hawking?
Hawking, yes. Okay. Sorry, I had to do retard head. So they threw him under the bus after he died a little over 1.5 years ago, maybe almost 2 years ago. And they're like, oh yeah, Stephen Hawking. So they gave us a name to placate us. And then they're like, oh, nope, no names. But then if you Virginia Giuffre's death does not sit right with me whatsoever. So there were however many
very
witnesses.
Very mysterious.
They all the witnesses named gave the names of Ghislaine and Jeffrey and Prince Andrew. All right, so Prince Andrew, there's another name, right? Another name.
He paid money, yeah.
Virginia gave 20 names. She gave 20 names, something like that. She had a whole bunch of names that she gave, and the bus from Speed hit her. I mean, and then she didn't die. And then she came out with a statement saying, "Oh, well, my kidneys are failing, so I'm going to die in 4 days." And everyone's like, what the hell? And then she came back, she's like, "Oh, just kidding. I'm not going to die I'm not going to die in 4 days." And then she killed herself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just nothing about that made sense at all. It was like they tried to take her out. She didn't. So they're like, okay, well, either you take yourself out or we're going to take you out because you're going either way. And so she made the thing saying, okay, but I'm ready to go. And I just want to say bye to my children. And everyone's like, oh my God, like you're never ready to be away from your children. What in the world?
Correct.
Yep. And then she, pulled that back and then ended up taking her own life, allegedly. So none of that sits well with me. And she was also the person who had all the names, and she's gone.
Yeah, I do think a lot of the direct evidence has been long scrubbed. There was allegations, there were tapes and things like that, but that's all been wiped. But if there was no list, why would Senator Dick Durbin be so adamant on blocking? Numerous times he has stated that he didn't want the Epstein list to become public.
Yeah, you see, nothing makes sense. And then you have Jelaine from prison, who's obviously just trying to get a sweetheart deal. Like, oh, there's no list. What are you talking about? He never, and then stated deliberately, nothing with Trump, nothing with Bill Clinton. It's like she's obviously, I mean, they moved her from like the high security prison where Epstein didn't kill himself to somewhere in Florida that was like a resort, and then they moved her to Texas, I think now. And I don't know what kind of prison she's in now, but I don't know. I don't trust her. I think she's got a reliability problem. I don't trust her. I don't think we're ever going to really get the answers. I think that it probably is a list, or at least a lot of people who are incriminated. And I think that they just want all together, bipartisanly, just get rid of it. We got to shut this down. We got to put everybody through the trial, through whatever we have to put them through. So, they put Diddy through it, and it was a lame duck trial. They put Jelaine through something, right? They can never double jeopardy them. They're done. They put them through what they need to be. Now it's over. Now they just need to make it go away. So,
and they're taking over the narrative with a whole bunch of different stories going on right now. So I believe, wasn't it last week where there was some Epstein, I guess the abused wanted to come out and testify before Congress?
Who did?
Did y'all hear about that? The Epstein accusers were wanting to speak in front of Congress.
Oh yes, they went and they spoke with Congressman Massey and Ro Khanna. They did.
I hadn't heard any follow up on that because I think
they just had like a meeting, and they kept saying we're going to release our own list, which also I'm like, just release your damn list, like. Right. And then Massey and MTG were like, well, they're protected with free speech in Congress. That's why you can say Eric. That's why you can see like Eric Swalwell say all these lies and Adam Schiff say all these lies, because they're protected with like super free speech in Congress. They can pretty much say whatever they want and have no consequences for it. Exactly. All they can have is a censure, and that's just a humiliation ritual. Right. So they were like, well, we're protected. We can give the names, but nobody ever gave the names. So I don't know. And then Rep Massey's holding up the papers like, I'd love to give the names, and it's all blacked out. Everything is edited.
And do you think, and this is an honest question, because I would imagine that, and if I were to give them the benefit of the doubt in saying that the list includes people who participated in Epstein Island shenanigans and people who he tried to get to participate but never did, and there's no way to differentiate between them. And so if they released this list in the public's view, everybody would be
guilty,
basically persecuted. Yeah, they'd be guilty by association, basically. And even if they had never participated, if they completely disassociated themselves from Epstein afterwards, or never participated in any of the human trafficking or underage shenanigans that they did there, that was kind of my thought process. Like, maybe the list is just so large and so encompassing that there's no way to differentiate between who actually participated and who he was trying to get in there, and so they literally can't release it because it would ruin everything. And even though let's say 10% of them actually participated in it, but the 90% was just who he was trying to entrap in these scandals, but wasn't able to, right?
That's what we're seeing with the flight logs. We know who was on the flight logs. So what did they all just go sit on the plane?
On the tarmac. They never left the plane.
They never left. Like we all know. We know who went on the plane. We know who went with him to certain places. We know how many times they did. I think Bill Clinton was 26 times. He just went and sat on the tarmac 26 times.
Bill Gates, 9, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So we know who they are. We know who's guilty. We can figure it out. They're just never going to face any consequences, and that's a really hard thing, because we were told Donald Trump he said he was gonna his podium was this, it was something he ran on. So it's disappointing, but it's just a reality of it. I think that there's a lot of blackmail. I think that there's probably a lot of foreign blackmail, and
Yes.
I think that's something that nobody's really ready to have a conversation about.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
that's
people
kind
are getting awfully close, actually,
I
to
know.
just burning everything down, which is really unfortunate. But it's also like, we can't continue on the path that we're going on. There's just no way. But, like, we're on a one-way road to destruction any way you look at it. It's either we have a revolution of some kind, not a revolt. I'm not calling for violence. I'm calling for a revolution.
Well, you didn't
okay?
stay a date and time, so you're good.
Changing the hearts and minds of the Americans to push back against the tyrannical overreach of the government and all of those things. Or we just continue getting all of our rights slowly stripped away until there is an actual revolt, until there's no other option but to revolt. That's what the Second Amendment was for. There's over 400 million guns in this country that we know of, and it's not going to be pretty if it ever comes to that, and I pray that it never does.
Yeah, I lost all my guns in a boating accident like 5 years ago, so sorry.
Yeah, I don't have any. I definitely don't have a replica of George Washington's gun right there behind me.
Here we go.
I just got this sweet rubber band gun.
Oh, very cool.
It's all wooden. It's actually like just a million different wooden pieces. It took like 6 hours to put together. It was actually insane.
Oh, wow.
But it's a functioning rubber band gun. It's very cool.
This is a replica of George Washington's
Ooh.
gun. It's very pretty. It's got so beautiful designs on it.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
love
so
it.
much cooler.
Yep. It is real cool. It's not loaded. I don't even know if I know what these bullets are. So
Keep talking though. I'm gonna go pull out one of my pieces. It's a World War II gun.
we're all showing our guns.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna get banned off YouTube's.
We're doing show and tell.
Yeah, that's all right. Something we were talking about earlier about how the left has reacted to this Charlie Kirk assassination and what they've done for the past few years, and the way that they've been trying to gaslight us into believing that us participating in cancel culture is the same exact thing, and that they're just basically trying to paint us as hypocrites. But as we've seen over the last couple of years, we saw Nicholas Sandmann, right? They wanted to, the threats that came his way for smirking at this guy was insane. They slandered him and everything about him, the school he went to, everything. It was disgusting. And then we have DJ Daniels, where Trump recognized him and made him an honorary Secret Service agent, and the Democrats couldn't even clap for him. And the lack of support or the lack of condemnation from the left was also, like, the silence was deafening on social media, when it was almost like they got their marching orders from their preachers, the Democrats themselves, and then just followed suit. And they're like, yep, nope, that kid was recognized by Trump, so therefore nothing. And then, of course, we have Holden Armenta, which from years ago was nationally persecuted, doxxed. His family went through months of harassment, calls to their work, trying to get him fired, and basically saying that Holden's dad, Bubba, was raising Holden in a racist and hateful household. The slandering, it was insane. And they've been doing this for years. And that was an innocent 9-year-old child that they targeted. And all of these crocodile tears that we're getting now about how we just literally expose the words that they say and that we just inform their employers about the words that they say. We don't have to make up an entire backstory about how there's this racist, how they're raising this kid in a racist home, or Nicholas Sandman being racist because he's white. Like we don't have to make up anything about them. We're just literally exposing their own words to their employers and saying, look, this is what you have as your employer. We are not the same. So everybody's saying that we're participating in cancel culture. We're not. We're literally just, we're shedding a light on the darkness that has been willfully exposed through their own social media. All we're doing is shining a light on it. And that, I believe, is a good thing. So I don't think that we're participating in the same kind of cancel culture that they've been using against regular people for years now.
What we're seeing is people. So for one, like teachers, nurses, these are the people that we're seeing really get it handed to them, and they should be held to a higher higher calling when it comes to accountability, morality, empathy. These people should be held to the highest standard for that. So
yes,
these are people working with children, and these are people who entirely lack empathy. This is what it is. It's a lack of empathy. So you can't just switch your empathy on and off. You either have it or you don't have it. So what we're seeing is them using their own words and saying, well, I can't bring myself to feel any empathy, or haha, he's dead. And then you're like, hey, is this like, ask the employer, is this how your company is? And when it comes to teachers, because they're like, oh, well, teachers, they need to be able to have free speech. It's like, yeah, they do. But this isn't free speech. This is reflecting on the school. And if they disrupt, there's two ways that this doesn't count for teachers, is they disrupt the school, the way that the school's going in some way. If their words disrupt the school, then they're not protected by that.
Well, they're also representatives of the state.
Exactly. And if it's misrepresenting, then they're not protected. And so there's a school in Florida, the Florida Atlantic University, and they have an art teacher who's tenured. So this is where it's going to get tricky.
Ooh.
Who was saying horrific things about Charlie Kirk and retweeting stuff and just saying, this is who Charlie was. And it was retweeting like Occupy Democrats with obviously very biased, polarized things to say. So she's on leave right now. But if they don't, I'm in Florida right now. My daughters have visited that school because they're going to be going to college. And so my thought is, well, you know what? Like, I'm going to check back on this. And if they like this school and that teacher's still there, then I have no choice but to say, okay, well, then this school believes in what she said. They couldn't separate themselves from her. They must believe it. I have no other choice than to believe that, even if she's tenured. Like, find a way around it.
Right, and the medical personnel is one thing. They do or pledge the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. I used to be a nationally registered paramedic, and I wouldn't go into anyone's home and be like looking for voter records or any of that stuff. It's just ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. And for everyone else, most states are will to work or right to work. So these people can be terminated. Literally, they can go on their social media and determine, their HR can determine, hey, you don't reflect our values, and terminate people. I just
want that. Why do you want to work for an employer who has different values than you? You should welcome it and say, okay, well, you know what? This is a sign. I guess I should go work for some vegan coffee shop or something, because obviously, I can't work for a school because the school has values.
I've actually been offered several government jobs. I have a couple family members or friends who work inside the government. Now, it's not like, political positions or anything, but just like,
you just want to be a Fed. It's okay. I'm just messing with you.
Well, I know that I never took that opportunity because I've never been one to be able to hold my tongue. I'll be polite about my views, but I'll be very straightforward about them as well. So I know that if I took the job, I wouldn't last long. Being surrounded, especially in Washington State, where you're just completely surrounded. Like the people that I know that do work in government, that lean conservative, they have to be very careful with what they say all the time, and that's just something I literally couldn't do. I would lose my mind. I mean, I had. It's one of the reasons why I started the podcasting was because I was always talking to my wife about this stuff, and she's like, "You need to find a new outlet. Like, it would be good for you to start saying this online because she can only listen to so much of it, right?"
Yeah, no, I get it. I was in Massachusetts when I started the Redheaded Libertarian. And I was anonymous. I started in December 2017. So it's after Trump was in office, and I was seeing the world melt down, especially all around me, everybody around me. Like there were protests every day. There were people screaming. There were people gagging when they'd hear his name. I mean, it was very Trump derangement syndrome. And I'm a very reasonable, logical person. And I'm like, I need a friend. And so I had a friend who was like, why don't you hop on Twitter? He's like, I know it sounds like it's going to be chaos over there, but he's like, it's actually kind of like a big party. Everyone's kind of like at a big party. I'm like, okay, cool. So I made an account, and I was just hoping to find like just a couple friends who were like-minded just to talk to. And I messed up. I messed up real big.
Well, and then you realize that, this is one of the things I realized when I got out into the workforce. My parents raising me, they were very responsible. They didn't go out to parties. My stepdad never drank. Well, he's been sober for like 28 years. But so he owned his own business. Like when they said they were going to do something, they did it. So I was lucky enough to have very responsible adult-like parents. And then I got into the workforce, and I realized that holy crap, it is like middle school drama everywhere. And then you start looking into politics, and you're like, it is the same. It is middle school drama all the way up through every level of government. Nobody grows up. Everybody's just this childish drama. It is insane. It blew my mind. So jumping into X was kind of similar in that way, coming to the realization that, okay, there are very few people that will do their own research, think through their own positions, and be able to defend them either with logic or their religious beliefs, however you want to come about it. Most people, you get 2 questions into why they believe something, and they fall apart because and then you realize that they're just kind of regurgitating what they heard, and you're like, wow, this is how our country's run, by people just repeating stuff they heard. Holy crap! No wonder why propaganda works so well.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I mean, I'm a little guilty of turning into a middle schooler sometimes when I'm on there.
Well, at least you're not like a rage baiter, though.
No, mine is after I've dealt with somebody. And where do you air this? Do you air this on YouTube?
We aired on YouTube, Facebook, X, Rumble, and Q Broadcasting.
Okay. Well, I won't drop the R-bomb then, but I'll just say...
You can say retard.
Oh, you can? You can say retard?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'll call people retarded. I'll be like, you're retarded. Like, and that's my middle school, because the 90s rules, I could say that in middle school.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have people like Krasenstein that, like, he posted today. Oh,
I am Antifa.
Sorry, my Starlink is lagging right now.
That's okay. Krasenstein earlier posted, I am Antifa. And then his brother, Ed, said that he donated $5,000 to Antifa. And since they're not technically terror organizations, you can still do that.
You can.
If they were officially terror organizations, he'd be in jail for 20 years. So he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, and he did it to rage bait everybody. Because,
he knows that this is just ceremonial, and it doesn't really mean much until they get it passed. But, I mean, he did with an executive order, or did he just make a declaration?
He said he was recommending, I believe.
Okay. So if he did an executive order, then hi. So if he did an executive order, then he could act under that executive order until it's either passed by Congress, rejected by Congress, or passed by the Supreme Court. But he didn't do an executive order, so he can't treat them like a terrorist organization.
It almost seems like the goal is to really go after the people funding as opposed to like all of the boots on the ground Antifa members are going to use this as a battle cry to say that they're being oppressed. But
yeah.
in reality, I believe that he wants to actually go after the people who have been funding them for so
Soros.
long. Yeah. Yeah.
The NGOs,
Yep.
there've been a lot of people that have been funding them, and so you got to follow the money. And I think that that's part of it. Is in order to shut them down, they have to find out who's behind all of it. But I think what they find out that I think they're going to find out that both sides are being funded by the same places, so they're not going to get cooperation to be able to shut down Antifa, because you probably got Corey Mills being funded by them. I don't know. Like you might have them. Yeah, just you need the no votes. So it's all going to come to where they get their money too. Our Congress is so slimy, so
That
dirty.
made my head hurt. Oh. Anyways.
Well, that
They
was
know
a
what
nice
they're
black
doing,
pill.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm full of them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's still a lot of hope. You know, you got kids. You're building a legacy over there. You got, you know, that's the way to do it. That's how we win. We're literally, I think that the way that we're going to win is just by outlasting this horror show that we're currently experiencing.
Well, they're
I know it's going to get
themselves. The left, they're
innocent
sterilizing
children.
themselves and their children. So, yeah. And so they're trying to take our children and then replace themselves with the illegals coming into the country. So, but they don't want themselves to go on.
You know, I feel like there's that trope that, you know, the left doesn't have children, so they want yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if it's necessarily about that. I think that their arguments and their line of thinking is so weak that they can't really convince many adults to do it, that children have to be taught. Like if you listen to Yamni Park, I think her name was, who defected from North Korea, who escaped North Korea and kind of told her story. And the way that the people there are taught that Kim Jong-un is a god, and that Americans are like these scary green monsters that you know never ever go to America because they're, you know, whatever they teach them, but they literally don't have the ability to comprehend freedom or like our lifestyle, because they've never learned it. And so I feel like the left's ideas right now are so weak that the only way to continue their momentum that they have is through indoctrinating the next generation, because their ideas fail and that's one of the reasons why they took out Charlie Kirk, was because he was actually going to them and challenging their ideas on their home turf, where they're indoctrinating our youth. And, you know, I mean, obviously he's not going to like elementary schools or anything. He was talking with adults 18 and up at colleges, but they have to indoctrinate our youth in order to actually make any kind of ground in the future. So I don't think it's necessarily that they're just targeting the kids because they're strictly demonic. I think that their agenda is just, it's so weak, it's so bad that they have to just indoctrinate our youth in order to keep it going.
Well, that's what Mao Zedong did. Same thing. They got all the kids involved.
Right.
That's who they go for first, because the kids they're passionate and they want to be part of something, and they want to be the good guys, and they want to do something, and they're brave and they're stupid. And so that's who is targeted first, the brave and the stupid ones. And they think that they're really smart too. They're smarter than you. So they're the perfect mold to be a useful idiot.
Absolutely. And then they have a developing brain. So
Yes.
they're not able to rationally come to the conclusion that they are the opposite gender or whatever. And what they're doing in Washington State right now, Maurice, you want to discuss that a little bit? How they're actually, there is like a lesson plan, how they're doing this.
Government mandated. It's through a bill that was passed this year. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it went into effect this year, actually, that in kindergarten, they're mandated to ask the students or introduce them to gender theory, basically, saying that some people are boys and some people are girls and some people are neither. So what are you? And so they start that in kindergarten, and it is mandated by the state. And not only that, it is not just in kindergarten. It is sex education from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade, and it has to be in every single
curriculum.
Every single subject. So history, they have to put it into math, they have to put it into social studies, and any class that you take, they're now mandated to inject LGBTQ into it.
It's
disgusting.
Crazy. That's gross.
It is.
That makes me sick to my stomach. Do you know how they do it with the little kids? You want to know? You ready to get mad?
Oof.
So they'll be like, ready for it. So they'll be like, are you a boy, a girl, or neither? And they'll be like, I'm a girl. Like, okay, you get a pink sticker. I'm a boy. Okay, you get a blue sticker. I'm neither. Oh, you get a rainbow.
So they're naturally drawn to the bright, shiny object.
Oh, you get these pretty colors. That's what they do with the flags. The flags are to groom kids. They're pretty. They're pretty colors, and that's what kids like. Like, look at my daughter. I love you, Mom. Rainbows. Like this is. She's not gay, but she loves rainbows, and so she made me that when she was like 8. So this is what they're drawn to. If she were given the choice of pink, blue, or rainbow, or in their case, I think they do like gray, brown, and black, like kids really don't want to have. But then if you're of any of these special genders, if you're a unicorn gender, then you get one of the pretty unicorn colors. Yeah, so it's all grooming. It's all disgusting. I actually talked with Charlie Kirk in 2023 when I was on his show about the bill in Washington, the trans refuge law bill in Washington.
Senate Bill 5599.
Yeah, so that says, hey, if you get to our state, then we're gonna give you all the grooming and all the hormones and everything that you need, and we're not gonna extradite you back to your parents, and we're gonna, as young as 12, we're gonna get you into residential housing. You can live on your own with help of a counselor. So that was all stuff that is horrific, and Charlie and I were definitely both on the same side of, for sure.
Yeah, I actually made a video about Senate Bill 5599 years and years ago, trying to warn everybody about it. And I mean, it's got like maybe 1,000 views on my YouTube channel. It's got nothing,
It's legalized kidnapping and legalized trafficking, and legalized.
It literally is
cutting up your children. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Anybody can apply to become a host home. One of the board members that approves host homes was a pedophile, and basically any child that runs away from home, as long as they say that their parents don't affirm their gender, right, they mouth the right words, then they can be housed in a host home for an undisclosed amount of time. They can receive any kind of gender affirming care that they want, and no state employee, and that includes teachers, that includes police, includes everybody, are required to tell the parents how long the child will be gone, where they're at, who they're staying with, or what kind of treatment they're receiving.
It's disgusting.
It's insane.
Yeah, and that what's alarming is it protects. So if your child came from another state and went to Washington to seek refuge there, and they were brought by somebody from the state, that person is also protected who trafficked them. Yeah, it's there's no saving these states. And I say that like Massachusetts has, I think 15 different states have that now. It was a response to Florida saying, we're not going to trans the kids. You can't teach this crap in the schools. And they called it the Don't Say Gay bill. I can tell you can say gay in Florida. Gay. See, nothing happened.
Texas gay.
Yeah,
exactly. I wish I had the FBI meme, where they kick in the door.
Yeah, exactly. You can say gay in Florida. It was never about that. So the response to it was these trans refuge laws, which legalize kidnapping and trafficking of your child to mutilate them and sterilize them. You can't save those states. That's beyond those states. If they could get away with that, they've already got super majorities. They've got mail-in voting. They've got ways to keep their power forever.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Washington State last year, they also passed, because I live here, obviously, unfortunately.
Are you going to get out of there?
Yes, I plan to.
Excellent.
But they passed a law, basically, that with the mail-in ballots, the public through FOIA, they're not allowed to, or the government can choose whether or not to disclose the chain of custody of the ballots, copies of the ballots, or the ballots themselves, or basically anything about our voting system. It's all behind a wall. They don't have to release it for 25 years. Our system of mail-in voting is literally ran on trust me, bro. That's it. Yeah. We're not allowed to know anything about it.
There is no chain of custody.
Is a Mo? Do you know if if Washington State is open or closed primaries?
I'm not sure.
Okay, because I know it's open here in Texas, but
I think it's closed.
Paxton is trying to challenge that federally, so there may be some huge changes coming up.
They should
Maybe.
be closed. You should be registered with your party to be able to vote for your party. Otherwise, there's got corruption.
That's how Dan Crenshaw stays in power, because he has an office in Harris County, and that's Houston. Democrats vote for Crenshaw to keep him in power.
Yeah.
100%.
Exactly. Crenshaw's a dirtbag.
Yep. One eye McCain.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to see my pistol?
Of course.
Whoa, hey.
Whoa.
So you guys can see. Can you see the serial numbers?
No.
Okay,
It's
so
just a
the
big blur.
Yeah, sorry. Well, the upper and lower receiver have the matching serial number. This pistol is actually a 1937 out of Belgium. It's stamped with the eagle on the upper and lower receiver. I know you won't be able to see it. It's really small, but this was given to me from after my grandfather passed away. He served in World War II in Germany. So this is actually I need to give this appraised. It's probably worth a couple $100, but the hammer still drops. So I'm not going to do it right now, but anyways, it's amazing.
That's awesome, man.
Interesting. How many guns did you lose in the boating accident?
Oh, well, this one's about to be lost in the pond of my property. I have enough. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I've got guns that I lost in the boating accident too.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm still devastated.
That's another really sick and twisted thing that they're going after again after the Charlie Kirk assassination is, one of the first things that these people come out and say is they're, like, oh, this is why we need gun control. And they literally are trying to come after our rights because one of ours was taken out. It's like, and I mean, Destiny said it best. He said the reason, like, Charlie Kirk would still be alive today if Trump hadn't been voted in for a second time, right? It's either you do as I say or you get the bullet. And they followed through with it this time. And not only that, then they try to use them abusing our rights to take our rights away. I can't fathom how we've gotten to this point. Nobody understands what rights are anymore. It's just constantly used. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
You like it? Is she pretty?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You don't have a ton of bells and whistles on there. It's just
exactly
just what's necessary.
I just lost her in a boating accident.
Oh, man. Sucks that it's happening.
Oh, that was fast.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Maurice, I hate that you quoted Destiny. I really hate that guy. He won a Pierce.
Good. You should.
Yeah, was it yesterday or the day before?
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying how he was upset that Erica Kirk was politicizing his assassination. And I forgot who the lady was, but she put him in his place, saying, like, you're like dehumanizing him. This is the wife of someone she obviously loved. She is actually, and she made the point, like, others are not Erica politicizing everybody else. She was making the point that, like, if you lose a loved one, you would be so distraught that you could not even politicize it at that moment. And, like, I'm gonna have to pull it up. I'll drop it in the comments. But oh my god, I hate that guy. That alert.
Oh, he's a dirtbag. He's I know he's a deadbeat dad, so he's kind of failed at life there, just in general, being a deadbeat dad. Just not a good human being. I debated him once on Piers Morgan with Roe v. Wade, and he didn't know what he was talking about. He's quick, so people confuse that with being smart, because he can gotcha, like, really quick, because his brain is so doped up on whatever the hell he's on. But yeah, not a good person. Very, very evil. Like, he's calling for assassinations. He's calling for more people to die. This is, I don't think he's going to be a free man long. Like, I think he's eventually going to wind up in prison for some of what he says, because he goes he gets onto the line of incitement. He's under investigation by the FBI. Yeah, see, so there's something not right about him. I know that he was investigated for a while for his relationship with a minor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's disgusting. I know that he like just a gross guy.
Ugh. He's a ugh.
He's not like he even like looking at him like he looks like gross, like he's unkempt, you know, and little and scrawny and just like some kind like he has like rat physiognomy or something. I don't know. Not a fan.
Yeah, it seems that he is the exact definition of why weak men create hard times.
Yes.
Because he has no power in his own life. He was a voluntary cuck, and he lost his wife for that, and he became a deadbeat dad, and his life completely fell apart because he doesn't have any force behind his will.
Yep.
And so instead of, and since he's so weak, he advocates like he that resentment that builds up in his heart. He wants to use the state against everybody else because he doesn't know how to. He doesn't know how to exert his own will and his own power, I guess you could say, because he's just a weak, pathetic person. And there are a lot of people like that right now that are calling for the state or calling for mass violence against conservatives because they don't have any power in their own lives. They've never created a business. They've never created anything in their own lives. And so they just want to take all of their anger and their built-up resentment out on everybody else. And that's actually one of the scariest things about transing these kids is that once they realize that they've been lied to their entire lives and that they're never actually going to be the other gender, and then they realize that they're sterilized and they're never going to be able to have a family, and that their parents and the doctors and all of these people who incentivize them to go down this road, they're going to realize that everybody was lying to them. They're not going to have any trust. They're going to have a built up ton of resentment. They're going to have a bunch of medical issues, and they're going to want to take out all that resentment on everybody else. It is terrifying to me, the ramifications coming down the line that we don't even know are going to happen yet. But I mean, you can kind of imagine it, but we don't know how extensive the damage is on our youth yet. That's coming up in the next 10, 20 years. So we got a rough road ahead.
The rate of detransition is very high, and I think that's just the ones who can afford to detransition. I think that a lot of them are stuck in these bodies, that they're stuck, they're monsters and stuck like that. These children, and the thing about gender dysphoria is it's a real thing. I do know people who have the legit gender dysphoria, the diagnosis before it was edgy, right? Before it was edgy to even have it, and they truly feel that way. But the difference is they don't want to stand out. They just want to fit in. The people who don't have the gender dysphoria, that have the fetish, solipsism, those ones want to stand out. Like Dylan Mulvaney wants to stand out. These trans kids, these kids who I don't know what I am. That's the equivalent of like when we were kids being a goth. This is what it is. And some of them take it to the extreme. Some of them got the extreme body piercings, tattoos that tattooed their faces and did all that stuff like that. They did go the extreme route. But most of them, I mean, you just let it play out. This is the equivalent of being goth. You just let it play out. Right. But they don't do that. They're like, oh, we need to intervene as soon as possible. We need to stop their puberty. And that's not even, when you stop the puberty, it hurts their bones, it hurts their brains. Their voices are never the same. What's awful is with boys, because they want to, this is the thing, we got to start it because you're going to have the most real transition the earlier we start it, right? So with boys, they start it very young. So they start boys when they're 8 years old, and boys have a micro penis, right? The thing is, they're going to look like women because they never developed any testosterone and they ended up growing up like a girl. So you know what they're going to look. But when they're ready to do the surgery,
they won't even have enough material.
There's not enough material, so they end up having to pull from the colon that always smells like a colon.
What the?
And it's like Frankenstein. It's Dr. Frankenstein. what they're doing and the experimentations that they're doing, and they're doing it on children, and they're like, well, they want to make it as real as possible, so they're starting as young as possible.
To me, there's no difference between that and then the scientists for Nazi Germany.
No, not at all.
Human experiments. That's all this is. It's gross.
Yep.
Can you guys see that?
Yep.
I had a emo anime phase. Let's see if I can just turn it down a little bit. It's kind of hard to see. Sorry for the bad quality, you guys, but
You look like a Naruto character.
Yeah, like I had hair like Sasuke, right? And I thought it was really cool. And I wore like black tight jeans for a while, and I thought it was, I never liked fitting in with everybody, and so I remember intentionally wanting to be just a little bit different. And it was always really fun showing up to sporting events, not looking like a jock in any way, shape, or form, and then just dusting all these kids because I was the only brown kid in my school basically, and then I was faster than everybody, so it was great. I really, really enjoyed that, and it was. And it's just crazy to me that now, instead of going through a phase like a normal phase that you'd go through, especially for someone like me who like either doesn't like to fit in or has an issue with I guess towing the line, they're incentivizing them to become sterilized or to stop their development entirely.
That's
like I wasn't even allowed to drink coffee until high school. They're like, you're not allowed to drink caffeine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what they're doing, who they target for sterilizing, they target obviously the kids, the outcasts. They target foster kids. Something like 40% of foster kids identify as LGBTQ.
Wow.
They target Native kids. That's a big one. Kids on reservations. Canada, that's a big one in Canada too. They target migrant children, autistic children. And the statistics are really awful too. So when it comes to it's what's that therapy called where I'm sorry, I haven't slept very well this week, so I'm forgetting a lot of words. When they change somebody from gay to straight, conversion therapy. This is what it is, conversion therapy. So what they're doing, they're taking boys. So they did a study. There's a study. And it was done in the 90s, and it followed them through the early 2000s. And it took boys who were prepubescent, who thought that they were girls, and it followed them to see what happened, right? 88% or 87.8% of those boys outgrew it with puberty. 44% of those boys turned out to be gay, and they didn't know what to do with those feelings, so they assumed they must have been a girl. So all of these children who are like, I must be a girl, 44% of these boys are probably gay, and you're turning them into a girl to make them straight. It's scary. And then with girls, the same number, 80% are autistic, and then 80% are also have been sexually assaulted. So instead of saying,
you need therapy.
I love you just the way you are, you're perfect just the way you are, I'm sorry that happened, you're safe now, you're safe in your body. They're like, no, you're not safe. We need to make you a boy. If you were a boy, this wouldn't have happened. You're right.
Wow.
Jeez. Oh my gosh.
Gross.
See how disgusting and how deep this goes? It's horrifying. Transing children shouldn't be a thing. You should not.
Agree.
These kids can't decide whether or not they want to be sterilized, whether or not they want kids. And that's what happens. That's what you do. And then a lot of them, you take away their ability to have a good sex life too. You take that away from them, and they can't consent to that. They can't even consent to sex. How are they going to consent to that? So they don't even know what it is. They don't even know what it is. And they're taking that away from them too. I can't even imagine if that happened to me as a child, how angry I would be as an adult when I found out what they did to me. You're disfigured. You can't have a sex life. You're a monster, essentially.
That's why the suicide rates are so
high. Your arm is all disformed because we made you a limb that is attached to your body now. It's so deep and it's so gross.
It's the heartbreaking that changed too, because when I was growing up in the 90s, you've heard occasionally transvestite, but it was very you've heard it maybe once or twice in your childhood.
the true trans people, the ones who have the dysphoria, they don't go by transgender, they go by transsexual. Because gender's made up and they're trying to trans their sex. So they call themselves transsexuals. And they also, the vast majority of them, all of the ones that I've met, don't want anything. They're like, kids should not be anywhere around this. You can't do this as a kid. They're like, I felt this way from the time I was 3. Kids should not be given these surgeries because they cannot consent to them. Every single one of these trans people feel that way.
And in the medical field, so there's like informed consent and like implied consent. And I don't think any of these would be applicable to in any of these surgeries. You know, you would have to. So implied consent in the medical terms, if someone's unconscious, it's you render care if someone's in the correct state of mind, the care that they would want to be given, right? So you can't get like, you can't save someone's life using implied consent and then get sued after. Because like, no, I wanted to die. Because you have implied consent laws. But there's no way that these kids are even, when does brain function, or when does brain development
stops at 25. So it goes for a while, right? 25. It's still developing right through college. You're still absorbing things like a sponge. When it comes to, and that's the thing, because when it comes to like their sex lives and stuff, you can't have informed consent when you're 12 years old. And they're cutting off at Boston Children's, 12, 13 years old. They were cutting off healthy breasts of children. And not just the tissue, they were taking, you've seen it, the surgery, the line right across their chest where they took the entire thing. That took their nipples. There's no stimulation there anymore. If they ever want to breastfeed, they can't do that anymore. And they cannot consent to that at 12 years old. They just got done believing in Santa Claus a year ago. And now you're going to take that away from them. They don't even know what that is. They don't even know what it is. So,
you know, with Trump coming into office, I was hoping that a lot of this stuff was going to be shut down immediately. And I'm not really seeing, like, I guess it's good that he's talking about Antifa now. But in all reality, like the butchering of our children has to stop.
Yeah, that was what he said at his address when he got into office, and he made the address that he announced there are now 2 genders. And then anybody who's funding these surgeries, any hospitals they're losing their federal funding. If they do these surgeries, they can't do that. So a lot of them are stopping the surgeries because they can't lose the funding because they're going to go under. So they're just brushing that aside and not doing it. So there are things that he said that worked. I don't know how much of that has to be codified still into law. I don't know how much of it is state versus, I mean, you can only do so much federally because we're a republic of states, but it all comes down to the funding. As long as we fund you, we have control.
It's a chess match, essentially.
Yeah, I don't know how to codify that into, like if God forbid a Democrat got elected in 2028, how they couldn't just reverse it, Yeah,
that's why it has to be codified. They can reverse every single executive order that he says, so they can come into office and say, okay, like Title IX, that's one thing. They tried to change the language of Title IX, the Democrats did, and I think that they succeeded, but it got put back now with Trump. But it was like they tried to make it so boys are protected to play in girls' sports. And then if you're not abiding by Title IX, then you're in violation. And so then you lose your federal funding. See, so it was reversed, but Trump reversed off of that.
We just live in a wild, just an absolutely crazy world that I have such a hard time understanding the other side. Like, I've tried to hear their arguments. The problem is that, like, I know what they're going to say. I know the propaganda that they're going to spew. And I know that the emotional stories or the emotional arguments that they use. And it doesn't work because I know what's behind that. And, I mean, the horrible experiments that John Money did and kick this whole thing off, and where he became this big celebrity basically and was propped up by all these elites, and then it spread out to everywhere. And now, we have kids arguing that there's more than 2 genders, and your body doesn't define your gender, but you have to cut off body parts in order to change your gender. It's absolutely insane and absolutely heartbreaking to me that my tax dollars go to something like that. And I have such a hard time figuring out why we can't just declare that there's only two sexes, male and female. There's never been one successful transition from male to female or female to male, and so we have to stop this because we are ruining our population. We are sterilizing our population. Like, I don't know if you saw the stat, Josie, that 28% of Gen Z was aborted.
Oh my God,
So
I didn't see that.
horrific. So
Wow.
an insane amount of Gen Z was aborted, and the ones who made it past abortion are getting sterilized. We're literally cutting ourselves off at the knees for the next 50 to 100 years. How is America supposed to survive when we cut out a quarter of an entire generation, almost a third, before they even before they even get birthed? And then the ones that do get birthed, we're sterilizing and mutilating them from a very young age. There's no way that America will survive if we continue this, if we don't put an end to this now.
There's not a replacement number. We're not meeting the replacement number. So there's going to be nobody to take care of the boomers and Gen X and even millennials when we're ready to retire.
Oh, we're screwed.
No one to take care of us if you don't have families. I mean, we're going to end up having MAID in here. We're going to end up having that Canadian suicide program. Like, well, have you thought about killing yourself? Like, we're in a bad place.
If you think the United States is bad, look to Europe right now. Look, France especially. They are underneath the recoverable population ratio. I think it's like 3.1 or something.
It's 1.3.
1.3. That's when I had it reversed. But anyways, so they're doing mass migration right now into France from Muslim countries. So they're predicting that
you're getting people who aren't quality. They don't match France's values.
Right. So
they're not
predicting
going to have the job. They're there to live off the state. They're not settlers. What we had for America, we had settlers who came here. We're like, okay, well, let's grow this place. And these are immigrants who are like coming here to live off the state. They're coming here to live off the government. They're not
parasites.
Exactly.
They're thinking in the next 20 to 25 years, France will be an Islamic state.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's really sad to me. I mean, my family's largely from France. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing that we separated from Britain 249 years ago, because in all reality, I've already written off Europe. They're as far as I'm concerned, by the time I reach retiring age, I won't recognize any country over there at all. They're all going to be gone because none of them are protecting themselves. None of them they don't have freedom of speech. They don't have a Second Amendment, so they don't carry guns, and they're well below repopulation rates, and they're importing all these immigrants. So it's like, you guys are done. You're literally you're done. There's
go to jail
no
for speech than you do for rape.
Oh, that's just terrible.
The thing is, everything that's happening over in Europe has been happening. That if you read the grievances in the Declaration of Independence, there's 27 grievances. Under Biden, we were living through 16 of them. And Europe never changed. So, one thing that Europe was doing? So the last 7 grievances, something like 4 of the last 7 grievances, all deal with King George importing people into the colonies to kill them. Now, what is England doing? Importing people into Britain to kill them. And this is the way it wasn't because, we want them to die. It was, we want to show them, I can do this, I'm in control. So this is happening. They were doing it with the Hessian soldiers. They were arming some native tribes. They were arming Canadians. And then they were actually bringing colonists out to sea and saying, okay, you're either going to jump off this boat or you're going to be armed and go back and kill your friends and family. That's the 26th grievance. Yeah. It's a lot of people don't know this. And I'm seeing what's happening in England, and I'm like, hey, you want to borrow our letter? We got this fancy letter here. And it's got all the same grievances. You just got to change a few words so it doesn't look like you copied it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could pretty much copy it and it would play out just the same. Do you think that this is going to be hyper accelerated? Because I saw recently that France is preparing for war, basically, that they're getting their hospitals ready to have this to basically be the grounds for recovery, right, for a major war with Russia, and it almost seems like with the amount of immigrants that they brought in, that they're going to send all their young men, their natural citizens, off to war to die, and then within 5 years it will be a complete Islamic takeover throughout all of Europe, basically. I mean, even if they win the war against Russia, right? I mean, there's no way to. There'll be nobody to repopulate. There's no citizens left.
I have a red pill thought on this, or I guess it would be a white pill thought on it. Want to hear my white pill thought?
A white pill,
please.
okay.
Why they're importing everybody in? Because there's going to be a major war. However, they're going to offer all these people citizenship if they go fight on the front lines. So all of these college-age men that's come into all these states say, okay, you get citizenship if you go to the front lines, and then they all die.
I think you're assuming good intention on the government.
I wanted to
Yeah, I'm like black pill. We're gonna usher in digital ID on everybody.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
I mean,
it's like, okay, we just got to get rid of them at this point, So free citizenship.
The countries that they're importing from have severe inbreeding problems. So there's a lot of like sub 80 IQ immigrants coming over, and that literally can't function in a military. So a lot of the people that they're going to try, like if they did try to do that, they would literally just be cannon fodder. Just, I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's possible. But the thing is, the people that they are importing in, they take an oath to the Constitution, and these people don't care about the Constitution, So for America, But I'm thinking, overseas, it's like, okay, like if they know there's going to be a big fight and they just want to have some people to go fight the good fight, there you go. They can put all them. But yeah, there's a chance they could just put their own people out on the front line. It depends on, I think France, they all have like Muslim mayors, right? Or Muslim something, whatever runs their country. They're all Muslim, right? They put Muslims in charge of everything.
No, I don't know the specific. Yeah.
Well, it's going to get to the point where if they lose enough people, or when they lose enough people, that Europe is going to. I could see NATO trying to do something like banding all of Europe together as like one state, right, or as one country. So they're just going to
separates. They've got the UK, which is something. They've got the EU, which is something, and it's all like 3 different this, 3 different that, and it's all different breakups. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to turn it into one state.
I mean, they're pretty close.
They're going to sell
for the most
They're
part.
going to sell it as Putin's trying to take over all their countries, and then NATO's just going to take over all their countries, and it's just going to be this conglomeration, this EU conglomerate, and they're all just going to be ruled. So that's what it seems like to me.
We're always on the brink of Article 5 for NATO. Every few minutes, they're like, oh, Russia encroached on Poland. Article 4 them. Oh,
right.
Russia. And it's like, oh, wait, no. And remember they tried to, was it last year or the year before, they tried to say that Russia bombed Poland, and they tried to like rush into Article 5, but then it turned out that it was Ukraine that did it.
It was a fire or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, that's different. It's like, well, you know what? No, it's not, because Ukraine's not a part of NATO. We could have just went and attacked Ukraine after that.
I don't know. We're going to be in for some interesting times ahead. Josie, I don't know how much time you have. I kind of just realized that we've been doing this for an hour and a half, and I feel like we barely talked. It went by so darn fast. Oh my gosh, we're going to have to do this again. I know you're a busy woman, but I would love to do this again. You have a fascinating mind. You have an amazing platform. If you guys aren't following Josie, the redheaded libertarian, on X, make sure to go follow her at what is it?
TRHL, the redheaded libertarian.
Yeah, very simple. TRHL official. Make sure to give her a follow. She has fascinating takes, very educational takes on the Constitution and Federalist Papers, and basically the founding of this country. She is a loving patriot. Please go give her a follow. And Josie, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate this.
Oh, thank you guys so much for inviting me.
So I guess we'll be back on Monday. But thank you guys for tuning in. Please share this podcast. Josie, is there anything you want to say? I mean, we didn't even get to like what you're up to lately.
I know, right?
Is there anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Go to castbrew.com. Buy my coffee.
Oh, now that's cool.
Castbrew.com. This is so good. Oh, and I'm not just saying because it's my coffee. This stuff smells better. Like, I want candles made with the smell of this. It's like a chocolate vanilla, but it smells like Christmas. Okay, and it's American. It's the 1776 signature brew. It smells like Christmas.
Betsy Ross flag.
Yeah, I love it
Hey,
so
Josie,
much.
I give you permission. You can drop the website link underneath my live stream if you'd like to.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So Cast Brew coffee. It's, oh my God, I can smell it now. So good. So yeah. And obviously become a member over at timcast.com and help support our work over there. I hang out in the Discord during IRL. So you get to talk to me in like a chat over there.
Huh, cool.
Sweet.
Steve?
Man, Josie, thank you so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure. Man, we lost a few guns today in a boating accident, but it's okay. We discussed some, national news and some international type things, but we kind of got hung up a lot on the Epstein client list. It's okay. It was something we needed to talk about, and we didn't go into the tragedy, which was Charlie Kirk's assassination. But he will live on because we're all Charlie Kirk, and we all have a voice. And thank you so much for joining.
Probably good that we didn't go into that. I don't know how well I would have done to really get into that. Just want to say Charlie was my friend. You know, everybody has some sort of like short little story about Charlie, but he could talk to anybody. He was we're never going to have another one like him. And the pain that you're feeling, the pain that everybody's feeling and can't explain. I mean, I'm sure you've met strangers who are like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. It's because what we're feeling is the pain of the death of a martyr. And it's something you can't really wrap your head around. We just know that he was anointed. There's something special about him. And that's the pain that we're all feeling. And that's why there's been mass baptisms. That's why there's been these protests. It's 19 countries celebrating this man. It's bigger than Martin Luther King. So
I agree. I hope that I really agree with that.
It's huge. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Charlie embodied the values that he preached. Martin Luther King had he had a bunch of communist ties. He had ties with prostitutes and like he was he was a good representative in the public's face, but behind the scenes he did a lot of bad things. Charlie was a lot different because not only did he preach those values, but he lived them out as well every day and every experience I've heard from people's experiences with Charlie, as well as my own, it has always been, I mean, it's the same story. He was just very generous, very open, very honest, and I mean, everywhere he went, he acknowledged Christ as our Lord and Savior, and was trying to bring America back to Christ. And for that they took him out, which is really sad. But we're now I guess charged with carrying on that legacy and embodying the values that we preach, and to try and carry that legacy forward. And I think that's really what Charlie would have wanted. So it's on all of us, and I guess it's now or never, you guys. It's time to live up to those values and really change this country from the ground up, as opposed to hoping that Trump's going to be able to fix it all from the top down. That's just not the way it works. So, and Charlie knew that. That's why he was going to grassroots, going to the colleges all around the country and trying to build up our youth. So, we got some time, but it starts now. So, Josie, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. You're awesome. You guys give her a follow. TRHL official on X.
Yeah.
Take care, you guys. God bless. We will see you on Monday.
Dusty plains and broken dreams, Cowboys and Indians on the same team. We got no masters, only our creed to break the chains and set us free. Riders on the prairie, wild and free, bows in the night.